the thing that really drives me is working on like very strategic analytics projects. And those are generally smaller projects, at least compared to like big IT transformation deals. That went well. Facebook was a great company to work for, but I was kind of seeking something a little bit different. I wanted to like build a team from the ground up. And so I went to a startup that was looking for help to scale a centralized analytics organization. And that was all focused in marketing and customer and product analytics across the different areas of analytics. So like data engineering, data science, visualization reporting, strategic analysis insights. We're looking for people to come in and be, either individual contributors or team leads where they have, a couple other folks that they're kind of orchestrating their efforts, and then they're also have an individual contributor.
Hi everyone, good morning. So today I have Ben with us, who's an analytics professional with a history of developing and managing projects which address strategic, tactical business needs through data-driven problem solving. Ben has been in the space for quite a while, so he understands what it takes, especially what it takes to change careers during the pandemic, when job hopping is something that a lot of people are considering, because a lot of people understand that there's much more to careers now just than money. So they're looking for purpose, they're looking for values, they look for companies that are offering them just much more than compensation. Let's welcome Ben on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom, where he will tell us about what he's learned along the way and what we can learn from his learning. Hi Ben, how are you doing today?
Great, thank you.
How's your day going so far?
Pretty good. It's still early on the West Coast, so I'm getting started.
Okay. So Ben, would love to understand about your career journey so far and how you ended up at your current company.
Yeah, so I have always been kind of quantitatively inclined. I did systems engineering and econ in college. Did some economic consulting for a few years after that, and then went and did about 10 and a half years at Accenture. That was all focused in marketing and customer and product analytics, and across the different areas of analytics. So like data engineering, data science, visualization reporting, strategic analysis insights, kind of like intentionally worked across those different areas. And it was also focused across a number of different industries. A lot of CPG, consumer packaged goods, consumer product goods, retail, some tech clients, some communications clients, a little bit of other stuff here and there, but that was like the bulk of it. And then at the start of the pandemic, I also was just becoming a new father, and I was kind of looking to leave consulting for a variety of reasons. I went and did about 18 months at Facebook, now Meta, in their global business marketing org. It was a kind of like a strategic analytics role. And then that went well. Facebook was a great company to work for, but I was kind of seeking something a little bit different. I wanted to like build a team from the ground up. And so I went to a startup that was looking for help to scale a centralized analytics organization. Unfortunately, they decided to decentralize that centralized analytics organization about 2 weeks after I joined. So that changed the role quite a bit, right from the get-go. And it didn't end up being a very good fit over the next few months. And so I left pretty quickly after that. I got recruited by a friend to be their manager at the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, working in the ed tech space. So leading a data science team there. And that was amazing. Company was great. The people were super smart. And I could have seen myself being there for a really long time, but then I had this other opportunity just kind of fall into my lap. So I only spent a couple of months there, which felt like I was giving up on the team. It felt really bad to be leaving them. But it also felt like it was kind of just the right decision for me and my family to go take this other opportunity. And that other opportunity is what I just started about a month ago, which is to create this new consulting practice from the ground up, with a number of other folks that I've worked with in the past and had really strong relationships with. And so we're just getting started with that, but it's been really exciting, very fast paced, and just a lot of like white space to just create something new.
Okay. First of all, congratulations on becoming a new dad. I mean, it's been a while, but still congratulations on that. The next question, and the follow-up question for that, Ben, would be, So you've jumped, as in like you've changed roles quite a bit and everything, but it was always based on something that you were looking for something more. People, when they stay in a role for a certain amount of time, they don't know when it's time to move on to the next role. So what were some of the deciding factors for you to move on and decide that, okay, this isn't what I wanted right now. I want to move and work towards a new company. So how did you decide that?
Yeah. So when I first left consulting, it was really largely driven by not wanting to travel. Had just become a new dad. I wanted to be around the house a lot. And, the other component of being in big consulting was there's always this pressure to sell bigger and bigger deals at the more senior level. And I was not really interested in that either. Like what the thing that really drives me is working on like very strategic analytics projects. And those are generally smaller projects, at least compared to like big IT transformation deals. And so that like there were like a lot of practical reasons why like the future of big consulting wasn't really interesting to me when I left that. When I left Facebook, it was more like I was seeking something new, right? So I was seeking the ability to build a team from the ground up. I'd been a manager for almost a decade at that point and wanted to really kind of lean into that skill set, but also the skills or the opportunity to kind of like build culture, right? And so the startup environment felt like a good opportunity to do that. And then when I left the startup, it was because I wasn't really given that opportunity that I was actually seeking. And that was really a part of what I originally joined to do. And so I was kind of like plugging like a hole in a ship or something, right? Like, and so when I went to CZI, the mission of what I was actually working on day to day was really a big part of why I was going there. But also the actual function, like day to day function of my role, was a big component as well. And then the most recent switch that I made was really just because all of those things that I had been kind of like seeking along the way kind of melded into one kind of opportunity. And then on top of that, it was an opportunity to work with people that I had worked with in the past. And, when I look back in my career and look at like the most happiest or most fulfilling roles or periods of time within roles, it's always been about the people that I worked with. And so the opportunity to go back and work with some of those folks from some of those happiest moments was something that was too good to pass up.
Wow. I think it's super interesting because I think for the longest time, a lot of people usually when they used to make transitions and used to change careers, it used to be driven by compensation. But I like how family influence your decision, how certain characteristics of the job influence your decision. And people, I think it's so interesting that people these days understand and realize that we spend around 26% of our life around the people that we work with. So if we're not happy, if we're not learning from those people, what is the point? Because eventually your growth might be stagnant. So I think going in every day and learning from the people that you work with is something that's super important. And I love that you mentioned that. So thank you so much for sharing that, Ben.
Yeah.
Last question, Ben.
I would say, sorry, I would just jump in. I would say like, it's not like compensation doesn't matter, right? Like that's always, that is a primary component of why we work. Right. But yeah, like I think you summed it up perfectly, right? Like it became not the only thing, right? About 10 years ago or so for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think compensation, of course, I'm a student. I need to pay off student loans. So it is definitely very important for me as well. But I think it's just looking for different things and not being the only deciding factor, which is interesting because at first, a lot of people were driven by compensation. So the transition definitely has been interesting. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So last question, Ben, you are building your own team. Would love to understand some of the positions that you're actively hiring for. How's that going? Some of the challenges that you might be facing in hiring those people because the market's saturated these days. Everyone's hiring and a lot of companies are laying off as well. So just would love to understand your experience so far in the market.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's been crazy. It's an intense market, and especially in the data space, right? So we're primarily hiring data scientists or cross-functional analytics folks right now. And in terms of like the level of seniority, we're looking for people from like even new grads to a certain degree, but more so people with like 2 to 8 years of experience. Which is kind of that sweet spot of, they've gotten their hands wet. They've gotten, into the mud of like what are clients struggling with day to day, like what are the actual problems that they're needing to solve. And they're starting to, once you get to the upper end of that range, you're starting to get more varied experiences. And so your ability to problem solve has expanded, right? You have more tools in your tool set, right? And so like, what does that look like in terms of leveling, right? It's like that, it just kind of depends on your specific experience, but we're looking for people to come in and be, either individual contributors or team leads where they have, a couple other folks that they're kind of orchestrating their efforts. And then they're also have an individual contributor component to their role. And then we're looking for a few folks still that are more in the kind of people manager and less individual contributor space as well.
Okay, so plenty of openings there with you, and considering the company is still new, it's still looking for people that are willing to work with them and grow with them. That's something that's super important. So thank you so much, Ben. Our time is up. It was a pleasure learning about you, learning about your decision-making process while you were making different career transitions, and how you ended up at a company right now where you're building your own team based on what you think would be an ideal fit for your specific team. And it seems like it's going great. So thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing your insights with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.